Welcome to another edition of BR Ortho Talk. I'm your host, Matt Moscona, joined today by Deanna Melancon, a friendly face around BROC, who holds so many different roles as the foundation director and the director of sports medicine engagement. Great to see you as always.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
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 We've been taking this time with so many of the doctors, so many of the folks over at BROC to get to know everybody and also to talk a little bit about their roles. So let's first start with you and how you ended up at BROC. Give me the Cliff's Notes backstory of you.
Okay. Long story short, I got my bachelor's degree from Oregon State University in athletic training. My parents went to school there, and so I was drawn to Beaver Nation. And then I came to grad school in Louisiana at ULM and started to get connected with Louisiana athletic trainers. From there, I found myself a single mom, and I was recruited to the area to come work at East Ascension High School as an athletic trainer and a teacher. And then single momhood kind of drove me to a more business-like background, but still being able to have an impact in athletic training. And so I worked for Children's Hospital of New Orleans for 2 years. And then when BROC decided that they wanted to step into the athletic training field and start putting athletic trainers into high schools, I was recruited to come start the BROC Foundation Athletic Training Outreach Program. And so I took that leap 4 years ago this month, and it has grown beyond my wildest dreams. We started with 5 high schools, and now we're at 12, and a university and a community college and a soccer club. So it's hard to believe that we've done that overnight, is what it seems like some days.
I would imagine 4 years probably in some respects feels like a blink, but also in others feels like a lifetime.
Yes.
Let's go back, though. How do you get from Corvallis, Oregon to Monroe, Louisiana?
So really, it just came down to applying for grad schools that were going to allow me to work as an athletic trainer and not still have my hands tied. I had been a student trainer in high school for 4 years, and then I was a student trainer in college for 4 years. And so by the time I had passed my exam, I wanted to work. And ULM allowed us and afforded us the ability that if we were certified, we were pretty much free as a bird to really kind of own our own teams. And so I got to work with softball, football, and I dabbled a little bit in some of the other sports, but really softball and football were my main responsibilities there. So it gave me a lot of great experience. It gave me the confidence I needed to go work at a university in South Carolina as soon as I graduated in 2008. And so it just really, that was the connection. I had grown up in Louisiana. I lived in Lafayette for 12 and a half years. And so coming back to Louisiana felt like a natural fit, I think, for grad school.
So it was more the culture shock going from Lafayette to Corvallis or Corvallis to Monroe?
Monroe kind of felt more like Lafayette as far as like the friendliness. I have this story that I tell people. My first day in Corvallis, I'm walking with my roommate who I had never met before, and we're walking to the lunch hall, and I pass this gentleman and I just smile at him. And he looked at me like I was an alien. And I'm like, but I mean, that's what we do back home, right? So it was a culture shock. I had lived in Texas for 2 years before I moved to Oregon, and my friends just started calling me Texas or Southern, or they just had all sorts of nicknames for me because I really was the only one from this part of the country. And, but it was a great 4 years. I miss Oregon. I loved the weather there. I loved the people there. It really did start to kind of feel like home. So when I left, it was tough.
Well, so now you're in Baton Rouge. LSU played Oregon State in football in 2004. Were you at the game?
I sat in the end zone.
Wearing purple and gold or orange and black?
Wearing orange and black. Oh, no. So my parents went to Oregon State. I went to Oregon State. My brother went to LSU. So we all sat together. My mom was going through breast cancer treatment at the time, so we had to keep her dry because she had like marks on her for radiation. And so I vividly remember that, and Alexis Cerna missing his kicks and then going on to win the Lou Garza that year. And a good friend of mine and just a great overall human. He now works for Oregon State in operations with football. So
yeah, for those who don't remember the game, it was LSU's first game after winning the national championship in 2003. So it was the season opener in 2004, and Alexis Cerna, who won the Groza as the best kicker in college football, I believe missed three PATs.
Mm-hmm.
Missed three PATs in that game. It was it was that's one
Which
of those
would have like tied us and put us into overtime, right?
Yes.
Because we
yes.
lost 21-24.
Yes.
I think is what it was.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It was a pretty incredible day to be in Tiger Stadium that day.
Yeah, and the
So-
rain
yes.
that postponed it, and then we came back. Oh, yeah.
What a story.
I remember it. I remember it well.
Worlds colliding.
Yep.
So, I want to sort of kind of traverse through. You mentioned, having the opportunity at BROC, going from sort of that sports medicine into more management. Is that a good way to say it? What drew you to the fields, to the fields of play, to be in sports medicine?
So honestly, when I look back at growing up, I had always been in athletics. Our family had always been very health driven, and I always wanted to be a veterinarian, and not a veterinarian now, but a good friend of mine who is actually married to the head athletic trainer at UL Lafayette, she asked me when I was a freshman in high school, hey, you want to come out here and be a manager with me? So we really were. We were water girls, for lack of a better phrase. We fixed helmets. We toted water, and we occasionally taped some ankles. And then the following year, my sophomore year, a certified athletic trainer came to work with my high school. I went to Westminster Christian Academy in Opelousas. And that's when I just kind of got ignited for sports medicine and athletic training. Thought I was going to be an NFL athletic trainer someday. I think a lot of athletic trainers think that that's what they want to do. The first female athletic trainer in the NFL, Rico Iso, worked for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and she went to Oregon State.
Okay.
And so there was this whole tie back to OSU with my parents going there, my mom being from Oregon, Rico going there. I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm going to be an athletic trainer for the rest of my life. And when I moved to back to Monroe for my first job to work at Ouachita Parish High School, I was on an island, for lack of a better phrase. I really was not supported as an athletic trainer from like medical entities. And so as I grew in the profession and got to know people, and I got to see how things were done at other schools, I wanted that for myself and my program. So I started to kind of build that at Ouachita, and then I moved down here where Ascension Parish is the gold standard for sports medicine as far as high schools are concerned. So I was really fortunate to work at EA for a year. And so being brought into a management role at Children's, I knew from my previous 7 years of feeling like I was on an island to getting a sniff of what it was like to be supported, that I knew that was kind of my mission moving forward in athletic training. Was now that I'm not impacting 600 students, I have the ability to impact thousands of students and athletic trainers by supporting them and giving them the tools that they need to be successful.
And that's
that's been my mission.
And that's what you all do primarily with the BROC Foundation.
We do.
Let's pick up there. So for the last 4 years, as you've operated the BROC Foundation, what was the genesis or the initial mission of the BROC Foundation when it was started?
So the initial mission was really, our doctors were already working on a lot of the sidelines, and they wanted to kind of have a stronger hand in those schools and with communication. And so their thought process was, how do we do that better? And a lot of them had relationships with the school-based athletic trainers, but the school-based athletic trainers were telling the doctors, hey, our hands are kind of tied. Like during the day, we're a teacher. We have to miss weightlifting at 7 a.m. We're not there to help facilitate appointments and help these parents that maybe don't know where to go. And so the thought was, you know what? What if we started an outreach? We see other hospital groups in the area doing this. And so what if we do that? What if we put somebody in a school and that person is able to just be a great athletic trainer for those kids and really be the grassroots of BROC and of our other foundation parties? Because, I mean, it's not just BROC. We have hospital systems that support our foundation, Our Lady of the Lake and Lane Regional Medical Center. We have multiple PT groups. Peak Physical Therapy has been with us since day one. Moro Physical Therapy, Central Cypress, and Bourgeois Physical Therapy in Gonzales. So by putting this athletic trainer in there who is supported by not only BROC physicians, but by a hospital group when those oddities happen and PT, they were like, this is what's going to give the best continuity of care to the athlete. So now how do we do that?
Yeah.
And so it just made sense to put it under the foundation umbrella so everybody could support it, and then bring somebody in with, I guess they thought I had enough leadership skills to be able to do it. But I think it's important that I am a certified athletic trainer, and I have struggled going, up and down in the snow both ways, right? And so being able to come in and support these ATs and listen to them and know where they're coming from. And even I maintain my state license and I maintain my national certification. So when one of them goes down with whatever, like I can be there to back them up. And I think that was I know that was the doctor's vision, was to constantly have care and a hand in the schools, and really in turn increase the care that these kids were receiving.
So hearing you list all of the different PT groups, the different hospitals, it feels very collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could, let's talk a little bit about what that outreach is like to school. So let's say coach or administrator from school X, whatever it may be, is interested in some type of assistance from the BROC Foundation. How does that work? How does that materialize?
So historically, the ones that we have, we'll take Santa Ma High School, for example.
Okay.
Dr. Kerry Winder has stood on the sideline of Santa Ma High School since like 1997. So he's already had a relationship there. There's been a couple other PT clinics that have had relationships there. Dr. Curry with Our Lady of the Lake Ascension has had a relationship there. So basically what we did is these schools that we kind of already had our hand in, we really just tried to like remold it and make it something that was a collaborative effort. So that way we were all on the same page with the care of the kids. So moving forward, if there's a school that is not currently in the foundation, that's the conversation I have with them. How can we work together? What sort of community partners can we bring together? For example, Zachary High School, one of our schools, they chose to be a part of the foundation financially. They wanted to have some skin in the game, right? So they helped fund their 2 athletic trainers. They wanted 2. They said, you know what? We can pay part of their salaries. So between them and us and Lane Regional Medical Center and Moro Physical Therapy, we all work together to give them 2 full-time athletic trainers. They get 80 hours of athletic training service a week from the foundation. And then they also have a teacher AT. Wow. Because those kids, they start practice at 7:00 in the morning. It's run, and Coach Brewerton runs it like a junior college, right? And so, we're able to be there all the time while not ideally burning out anybody.
Sure. Those 80 hours of athletic training in a week, what types of things are the athletic trainers that are there on campus doing?
We're doing rehabs. We're carrying out doctor's orders and PT's orders. Sometimes PT even comes to the clinic or comes to the training room to help do that. We're doing organization and administration. We're communicating with parents, keeping parents abreast of what their kids are doing on campus, injuries that are occurring, implementing coaches education and emergency action plans to make sure everybody's on the same page with the care of if an incident were to happen. As we know, we saw in January, an emergency action plan worked flawlessly in the care of DeMar Hamlin. Yeah. And basically that's what we're doing, just on a smaller level, right? We're not on Sunday night television, but that is what our athletic trainers are doing on a day-to-day basis. If there's an incident that happens that involves an athlete, we're taking care of them, whether it be emergency, whether it be just a cut that needs to be cleaned and taken care of, rehab of ankles and knees, shoulders, arranging doctor's appointments. When parents are like, man, we just don't know where to go, we can offer our services. And they don't have to go to a foundation partner, by no means. But for them, sometimes it gives them peace of mind when you have this collaboration taking care of your kids. They're like, you know what? That's who I want to take care of my kids. And so it just becomes a natural flow. But but that's what we're there doing. And at schools like Zachary, really the majority of our schools, Zachary, Catholic, they have sports running all day long because they just have so many sports. And they like to get certain things done during the day so they can reserve the afternoons for other things. So because of that, you've got sports going from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then you've got your actual practices and games going from 2 p.m. till 11 sometimes, And so it helps to have multiple people to deliver that care. So like I said, nobody's getting burnt out. Athletic trainers are notorious for getting pushed to the limit and exhausted because a lot of us are salaried employees. If we were hourly employees, it'd probably look a lot different.
Yeah.
But we're salaried employees, and so being able to cover those hours and take care of those kids and give them the best care that we can.
I'm glad you brought up DeMar Hamlin. I think most people remember the situation where, the man died on a football field.
Literally, yeah.
And was revived. Maybe this is wrong. My assumption would be, if I'm a parent, I think, of course, that's terrifying, but that's an NFL stadium with NFL resources that they were able to provide the life-saving care that DeMar Hamlin needed. Is my child in high school going to get the same care that DeMar Hamlin got in an NFL stadium? Is that a reservation that a lot of parents have? Does that sound common?
I think if they don't know that they have somebody there taking care of their kid, they might. I hope that they would ask the questions of, does this school employ an athletic trainer? There's a lot of schools that don't have them. There's also, in Louisiana specifically, there's, for lack of a better phrase, there's a shortage of us. LSU has a master's program, Southeastern has a master's program, and UL Lafayette does. But those kids are coming out of school with an entry-level master's, and they're wanting to go, most of them want to go experience something on a bigger scale. Like I said earlier, they all want to work Division I. They want to go work internships in the NFL. The ones that want to stay here provide that support to those parents, those ones that want to work in the high school level. Though we don't have NFL resources on our direct sideline, those guys that saved him are certified athletic trainers just like ours are. They are trained and they are prepared. They have the tools and resources they need to intervene with CPR, with utilizing an AED, intervening with an emergency action plan to getting them to that higher level of care, just like DeMar was given. He was saved on the field and brought back to life, but he also needed continued care, right, at a hospital. The same thing would happen here, whether it be heat-related, head-related, heart-related. That is what we are trained to do, and we continually re-educate ourselves. We have to get continuing education units just like any other medical profession. We did not sleep at a Holiday Inn last night and get this degree. We are not personal trainers. A lot of people think athletic trainers are personal trainers, and that is something that we are constantly fighting our nomenclature over. But the kids that go to school here, I can assure people that if you have an athletic trainer on your staff, an athletic trainer is a lot like an insurance policy. You don't want to use it, but when you do, you're lucky you have it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think all of us are cut from the same cloth in regards to, we know that we're taking care of people's most prized possession, and that's their kids. Whether or not they're an NFL player, they could be an NFL player, or they're a ninth grader. They're all going to get treated the same, and they're all going to be taken care of with dignity and love and respect. And I take so much pride in just athletic training in general as a profession, because we are unique in the fact that we do our job is fun. Like, we get to be a part of sports and healthcare and tie it all together. And we don't work behind a desk. And so because of that, we're able to be hands-on with our kids on a daily basis. And the foundation, I would walk in front of a moving train for anybody with the foundation, because everybody's doing it right. We are, whether it's from a doctor to a PT to the hospital setting, these kids are taken care of.
Do you think that because of the DeMar Hamlin situation, you're seeing people more willing, AED specifically. I can't imagine an athletic venue that wouldn't have an
Have one.
AED now. Is that maybe an unintended benefit, for lack of a better word, or something like that? Like, are you seeing more resources committed to having those necessary?
People are absolutely trying to get those resources. They're not cheap, right? But Senate Bill 12 was just passed to start implementing having AEDs on schools and in athletic venues across the state for high school athletics. They can't mandate, something like as big and as expensive as an athletic trainer, but schools are constantly reaching out to me trying to figure out how to get one. And I would give every school in the greater Baton Rouge area, I would give every school in Louisiana that doesn't have one an athletic trainer. But that's not possible, right? There's 400 plus high schools in the state. Now, the majority of the athletic trainers that live in Louisiana are high school athletic trainers. There's a very small percentage that work at universities and in other settings. But as far as getting them the resources they need, there are tools out there to get those resources. So it's finding the right people to help you get them. And some people say, like, you just don't know what you don't know. And that's what I've told some of these high schools that have come to me, like, look, I cannot give you a person right now. We don't have the resources funding wise at this moment in time, or we don't have the person to give you. And so how can I help you? And so if that is helping to purchase an AED, if that is helping to purchase a WGBT so kids can practice safely in the heat, if that is finding a source to get a cold tub donated for their school, or helping to just make appointments. I've established a relationship with Slaughter Charter north of Baton Rouge, right? Coach Clarkston will call me up. Hey, I got a kid calling you because he needs XYZ. And I'm like, okay, awesome. I can't give you a person, but I can give you resources. So that's why I say, it was hard for me to exit a sideline because I felt like I was losing. They used to call me Mama D. I felt like I was losing that. But people have allowed me to see that, like, I'm just doing Mama D differently, and I'm taking care of kids differently. And now that I do have this expansive network to be able to provide that, they can get care in some capacity, even if it's not directly through athletic training services.
And BROC has also, for many years, offered a free Friday night clinic as well for football.
And we still do that, 9 to 11 o'clock, the 10 weeks
PM.
9 to 11 p.m. on Fridays of the 10 regular weeks of season. Sometimes we'll even do that week one of playoffs. If there's a lot of home games being played in Baton Rouge, we kind of evaluate the schedule, and we'll do week one of playoffs too. So it's completely free of charge, and kids get to come and see an orthopedic surgeon. They can get x-rays, they get evaluated. We can do DME. We set them up for follow-up appointments, or if it's surgical, we can set them up for surgery. And the doctors all rotate through that and work that. And it is a lot of fun too, just to kind of hang out. And when the kids come in, and we see everybody, like, we don't just see football players. We'll see the cheerleaders and the band members too. We'll see referees. Anybody on Friday night that goes down, we take care of them too. And Dr. Brent Bankston started that umpteen years ago.
I'm 41, and when I was playing high school football, the free Friday night clinic was happening. So it's been well over 20 years at least that they've been doing that, which is.
He said schools used to pull up on buses on Saturday mornings. When he used to do it on Saturday mornings, schools would pull up on buses to get evaluated.
It has been an amazing resource for the community, what all BROC has done, and especially with the BROC Foundation. As you start to look at how either athletic training or just your involvement in the foundation has changed and evolved, what would you say are maybe the most obvious or noticeable ways that you've seen an evolution in the field?
In the field of athletic training in general, I do feel like now it is a more cross-connected continuum of care than maybe it used to be. I feel like I said, when I was on an island, there wasn't a lot of support from outside resources. And now school boards are getting on board and hospital systems are getting on board to really enhance the care that's being given. And high schools are being paid attention to maybe more than they used to be. It used to be kind of like looked down upon if you were a high school athletic trainer, and that's just not the case anymore. So I am proud of that as far as how athletic training has grown as a profession. You know, us transitioning to a master's degree that we have to have now to graduate those upcoming athletic trainers. I think that shows that we're trying to be a little bit more on the cutting edge of healthcare, and we're trying to elevate what we're doing, and we're not, you know, athletic training has transitioned over so many years from, man, if you got a degree in whatever, as long as you did your hours, you could sit for your exam, become an athletic trainer, or you could get your license. And then it transitioned to, okay, now it's an internship program, you got to do this much. And then it was, nope, now you got to get a bachelor's degree. And now it's, nope, you got to get a master's degree. So I think our education has elevated us and our status. Hopefully one day our pay will catch up. You know, we're still not, you know, you're not doing athletic training and making buku bucks. You know, we're just, it's not a profession that affords us that luxury right now. Hopefully the state will, you know, we're constantly fighting for third-party reimbursement and things like that with health insurance. And maybe one day we'll get there. But right now, I think the majority of athletic trainers are just there to give great care.
Yeah. If you do the opposite and start to look forward, maybe specifically with the BROC Foundation, what are some goals? If you picture the 12-month, 24-month, 5-year vision of the BROC Foundation, how does that look?
Do I have $1 million? My goal is to keep growing and to keep taking care of kids in our backyard. Right now, you know, East Baton Rouge Parish is kind of an untapped resource right now. They know they don't have athletic trainers on their sidelines this coming season. And if I had 11 athletic trainers right now and $1 million, I would give each high school one. But instead I got to use my other resources to take care of those kids. But the reality is that it is expensive to put athletic trainers out there. But long-term goals, absolutely. I want every high school to have access to a certified athletic trainer. And that might take me another 5 years. I think that's realistic. I'm not going to do it in 12 months and I'm not going to do it in 24. Can I get a couple here and there in that time frame? Absolutely. But long-term goal would be everybody in what's considered the greater Baton Rouge area, that the foundation would be able to touch those schools in some capacity with full-time care. And that's the other piece of it, is it can't be part-time care. Like, nobody wants their kid taken care of part-time. And so trying to find the resources to afford us the ability to put full-time athletic trainers in high schools to care for these kids on a day-to-day basis. So we'll see what happens in 5 years. Maybe if BROC Rock and Wine keeps growing, we might be able to do that.
We certainly look forward to that event, getting bigger and better every single year. We always appreciate the time and the conversation. Thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. Thank you.